Here's Johnny. Oh, wait, we're not doing that movie. We're doing a movie about demons. Oh, let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about 2002's Frailty. This movie was made on a budget of $11 million, and in the US it made 13, worldwide it made 17. And this movie was directed by Bill Paxton. This movie also stars Bill Paxton, Powers Booth, and Matthew McConaughey. Bill Paxton plays the father, a widowed father of two young boys. They live in a small town in Texas, and Matthew McConaughey plays the grown-up version of the one son, and Powers Booth plays an FBI agent. And basically, the movie starts on a rainy night, and Powers Booth is returning to the FBI office. And one of his subordinates tell him that this gentleman came in that has information to the God's Hands killer, which is a killer the FBI has been on the lookout for. But they don't have no evidence, and they have no idea who it could be. They have no suspects. And being skeptical, Powers Booth goes in. Matthew McConaughey sitting there looking at a picture of Powers Booth's mother that was on his desk. And they introduce themselves to each other, and Matthew McConaughey pretty much tells Powers Booth that I know who the God's Hand killer is. And Powers Booth is very dismissive, and Matthew McConaughey kind of calls him out on it, saying, well, you haven't even heard my story yet. Why were you so dismissive? And Powers Booth's like, okay, tell me your story. And pretty much Matthew McConaughey's the vessel for which the story is told through. And we're introduced to Matthew McConaughey as a younger kid, played by a young actor, and his brother. And one brother's a little older than the other, and they live with their father in a small town in Texas, who's played by Bill Paxton, who's a mechanic at a garage. So a very blue-collar family. The mother had passed away, giving birth to the younger son. And life seems good. The boys are happy with their father. The father seems happy with the way things are. And then one night, the father puts his sons to bed, kisses them goodnight, tucks them in. And later on at the night, he comes busting through the door and says, I have something to tell you. And Bill Paxton does something very cool in this scene, and it's very subtle. But it's not that I caught on to this. I noticed it, but he says it in the commentary for the film. Bill Paxton's character sits down, the father character sits down next to the younger son, Adam. And Fenton, the older boy, it shows the divide of what's to come for the family. And the father tells his son that God came to him and told him that his purpose in life is to destroy demons, that there's demons walking amongst them that look like humans, and it's going to be his job to go out and to destroy them. Obviously, Fenton, the older boy, thinks Dad's gone off the rails, that Dad's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And the younger boy's all in on it. He believes his dad, he's a younger kid, he's more impressionable, and he believes everything his dad tells him without any proof. But Fenton's a lot more skeptical and kind of blows it off that Dad might have drank too much or maybe had a nightmare or whatever. So the next morning, Dad takes him to school, and Fenton thinks everything's fine. Dad hasn't mentioned anything about it. It must have been a dream. It can't possibly be real. Well, as the boys get out of the car to go up to the school, their dad yells out, hey boys, remember what we talked about last night? You can't tell anybody about it. And Fenton snapped back to reality like, no, it was real. Something's wrong with Dad. But he kind of lets it go because nothing's said for a couple days. And one day Dad comes home from work and says, fellas, I got to show you something out in the shed. I had another vision from God today. And it shows a scene with Dad driving to work, and there's these beams of light coming down in a barn in this cornfield or this field. And he stops and walks in, and inside the barn is an axe with a wooden handle with Otis carved into it. Now, Bill Paxton says that Otis, in a commentary for the movie on the Blu-ray, Bill Paxton says Otis just was meant to give the axe a name to give it kind of make it its own character. It doesn't really mean anything. Now, some people, I've read online some theories, says it means only the innocent survive, which kind of goes in with the movie, especially as the movie goes forward. So that could possibly be true, but Bill Paxton on the audio commentary says that wasn't the case. They just named the axe to give it make it its own character. And Fenton's kind of shocked back into reality, thinking, I don't know what to do. But he kind of blows off again, thinking, well, maybe Dad's not going to act on it. And then one night he comes home with a bound woman in his car, and they take her into the shed, and his father, Bill Paxton's character, puts his hand on her. And we don't see what he sees, but he's kind of like shaking a little bit, like he's seeing something the boys can't. And he tells them that this woman's done horrible things, and he ends up killing her with the axe. They don't show any penetration. The movie's not very gory. It shows some blood, and there's only one scene where they actually show the axe penetrating a body. That's later in the film. This is more about mood and suspense in the story than it is more about the gore. It's not a slasher movie by any stretch of the imagination. And as the movie goes forward, they do this several times. Like, Dad goes out and gets these people that are supposedly demons, and he destroys them. And they bury the bodies in, there's a rose garden next door, and that's where they're putting the bodies. They dig up a grave and they put them in the ground there. And Dad explains to them that God has said that he will protect them from being caught by the police. And Fenton's growing more and more uncomfortable with this, and one night he decides to go to the police. He wants to put an end to this. Dad has gone crazy. He's killed people, and it must stop. So he goes to the police, and the sheriff doesn't really believe him, but he takes the boy home. At this point, the dad had already had Fenton dig out a dirt cellar, and they pushed the shit on top of it. So now they have a place, Dad has a place to do his thing, and it's more hidden. And the sheriff's very dismissive, but he goes, "Why I'm here, let me just check out your shed." The boy keeps saying that there's proof in. So they go out to the shed, and the sheriff goes down into the dirt basement area, and Dad ends up killing the sheriff, and he yells right at Fenton, "How dare you make me kill a man?" And Fenton's like, "We've killed plenty of people." He goes, "No, they were all demons. You made me kill a man. I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it to protect what we're doing here." And he basically locks Fenton down there for days on end. And he goes, "I'm not going to let you out of here until you get a sign from God." And Fenton is on the verge of passing out after several days of no eating and very little water. And his dad comes in to check on him, and he goes, I saw God, I got a sign." So Dad thinks, well, the next killing is going to be his, to prove, because his dad also tells him that God has spoken to him, saying things about Fenton that he does not want to believe. And they kidnap this guy, bring him home, and Dad gives the axe to Fenton and tells him it's his turn, it's his time to kill this demon. And this way it'll show God that you were on the right side. And his dad steps back. Fenton puts the axe back like he's going to swing at this guy, and he turns and he buries it right in Bill Paxton's chest. This is the only time you see any penetration of the axe into a body. And he kills his dad. But before Bill Paxton dies, he whispers something in the younger son's ear. And we cut back to present. And by this point, Powers Booth takes Matthew McConaughey in handcuffs in his car to drive him to the Rose Garden to show him where the bodies are buried. Because by this point, Powers Booth has had enough. He's not sure if he believes him, but he wants proof. He wants to see there's something creepy about Matthew McConaughey's character. Although Matthew McConaughey is great in this movie. He's very understated, but he's awesome in this movie. So everybody's awesome. Powers Booth's incredible. Bill Paxton's great as the dad, who, you think Dad's gone crazy. Well, anyway, they get to the Rose Garden, and as they're walking, Matthew McConaughey's character, basically this is where the twist comes in, starts talking to Powers Booth about his mom and how she died. And Powers Booth's like, well, they haven't caught the killer yet, we're still looking for him. And Matthew McConaughey starts goading him, saying, no, I know exactly what happened. And before long, it's revealed that Matthew McConaughey's been passing himself off as Fenton, the older boy, but he's really the younger kid, Adam, who totally bought into what his father was doing. And all of a sudden, Powers Booth can't move. He's kind of paralyzed, standing there. And he reveals that he knows he's a demon and that he killed his own mother, and he's there to destroy him, and he basically kills Powers Booth's character. And then by this point, Matthew McConaughey had already killed his brother, because on his dad's dying breath, when he told something to Adam, he told him that his brother's a demon, and God will send him a sign when it's time for him to go kill him. And at this point, right around the same time, right before he went to the FBI, he killed Fenton. But supposedly, the way the movie sets it up, where God protected him, and everybody thinks Fenton's the one that was the God's hands killer. He killed Powers Booth's character. He plants Powers Booth's wallet at Fenton's house. So all eyes point to him. And at the end, we learn the FBI agent that told Powers Booth that Matthew McConaughey's character was waiting for him goes to this small town where he lives, and here he's the sheriff of the town, and he's married and has a kid. And they tell him that we found out who the God's hands killer was. It was your brother, but he committed suicide. And Matthew McConaughey's like, thank you very much. I appreciate all the hard work. And he basically gets away with it. But this movie is very well done. Bill Paxton really did a nice job with this film, because when he first goes through the door at night and tells his sons what God had said to him, I remember when the first time I saw him, like, Dad's gone off the reservation. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. He's batshit crazy. There's no way, you know. But as the movie goes on, because they actually show a part where all the visions that his dad had, and even Matthew McConaughey had the visions as well when he put it on Powers Booth's head. He saw him kill his mom. It's like, as an audience member, you're like, are they really demons? I mean, they never show them as demons. They always look like humans, so you never know for sure, or they're just bad people. Either way, it's a very cool twist at the end of the film. And it's definitely one of the best horror movies of the 2000s. It's a shame it didn't do better at the box office. I don't remember, the ad campaign for this wasn't really that great, if I remember correctly. I remember when this came out. I didn't get to see it because it was not in a theater close to me. I was living in my small hometown at the time, and we had limited theaters around, and not everything played. Mostly the bigger films played, and this wasn't really a bigger film, so I didn't ever get to see it until it got released on DVD, and I bought it, and I loved it ever since then. You can get the Blu-ray on Amazon, I think, for like $10. It's definitely worth buying, but it's probably streaming somewhere. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I would give this movie a 9.25 out of 10. I would take off there's a few moments in the film that, I don't know. The movie is great, don't get me wrong. There's a few things that take some points off, some little quarter of a point off here and there. So I give it a 9.25 out of 10. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it, especially if you're a horror fan. Like I said, though, it's not a gore fest whatsoever. There's some blood but it's not a gore fest by any stretch of the imagination. It's more about the story, the characters, and that's about it. But yeah, I highly recommend Frailty. If you've seen it, what do you think of it? Leave a comment down below. If you like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. Let other people know you were here. Share this video on Facebook, wherever. And I will be back soon with another review. Thanks.